the analogy that came to me as I was preparing for us today, this morning, was that all these assessments are actually measuring the golden egg that the goose is laying. It's not, it's making us focus on the golden egg and making that more important, the strengths and blind spots and weaknesses. But what about the goose who is absolutely alive and it is the living wisdom, the living intelligence. The egg's not as important. The goose is more important.
Welcome, conscious leaders, light keepers, and uplifters to this week's episode of Write Your Outcome. I will tell you I'm feeling a little giddy right now because with me is Neerja Bhatia. Am I saying it right?
Neerja Bhatia.
Bhatia, correct me. Neerja Bhatia. My apologies.
No worries.
And I have to start, before I give you all the fabulous resume of this woman, let me first tell you how we met. Because if you know me, I am a big believer in that the path is always being laid out for us if we're willing to listen. And I don't even know if you know this, Neerja. Neerja and I both recorded videos for the Guard group. Shout out to Bridget. We love you, Bridget. And when I recorded my videos in Texas, the video guys, the camera guys, and the producers said, "You would love Neerja." They told me right there, "You guys have so much in common." And I went, "Oh, that'd be nice. Maybe someday I'll meet her." And then fast forward, these videos start coming out and I start seeing her on social media, and it's love at first post. I don't even know what else to say. Another soul walking in the same direction, sharing the same insights, different words, different tools, but literally, here to raise consciousness, awareness, spread light on the planet. So immediately, loving everything she posts, following her, sharing. And then to my delight, I feel like we became friends before we even knew each other.
I would feel the same way because I was liking everything you said and enjoying it. And I talked to Bridget about you too. So, and then we reached out to each other. It was all very magical.
Yeah. And I believe in soul groups. I believe there's people that were meant to meet, and you are definitely one of them. And before we get into anything, I've read her book. We're going to talk about her beautiful book, The Great Remembering. I'm humbled and proud to say I've endorsed this book. I want to read my opening. As my listeners know, I always type out the opening and then we get into the actual questioning. But when I first read this book, I knew I was diving into something special and was honored to endorse it. Neerja has a remarkable way of putting language around something many of us have been sensing for a long time and maybe not putting into words. And while the world is racing to become intelligent through technology, we are being invited to be more conscious as human beings. And that's why I love this book so much, because it's the yin and yang. If you're watching, that's the cover of her book. It's both sides. Neerja Bhatia is a leadership emergence coach, a TEDx speaker, a member of the Forbes Coaching Council, and the creator of Living Intelligence Framework. I love that title. For more than 2 decades, Neerja has helped leaders move beyond unconscious patterns and conditioned ways of operating into a deeper state of awareness, presence, and wisdom. She serves as a bridge between unconscious reflexes and conscious leadership, helping people lead with greater coherence, moral clarity, and authentic human connection. What I appreciate most about her work is that she isn't asking us to reject AI or reject the future. She is inviting us to remember what makes us uniquely human. Her message aligns beautifully with what we talk about here on Write Your Outcome, that lasting change doesn't begin with better strategies. It begins with greater consciousness. Neerja, welcome to the show. I think I welcomed you before, but an honorary welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, Michele. This is such a lovely space to be, and I would not be anywhere else but here, Michele, with you.
I'm so excited. So she wrote this beautiful book, which we are going to talk about. But before we get into the book, I want to talk about you as a human, right? This is about you being a human being. So who were you, as a teenager, as a child? Who were you before you were the author, TEDx speaker, leadership coach?
Let me go back to when I was a child. I had so much energy. My parents didn't know what to do with me. And I was a dreamer. It was very hard for me to sustain my focus on the mundane. It was boring, hey, and doing the homework. I was a dreamer. I was always caught in big thinking. And even at that tender age, I still remember totally being mesmerized in nature and feeling this presence so larger than life, that everything was alive within and around me. It was just a very, I don't have words for the kind of connection I had with everything around me.
And that's why they say, I love the term breathtaking. It takes your breath away. And I'm getting chills listening to you talk about nature. So anyone listening, I always say, when was the last time you were just alone in nature? Last week, my girlfriend and I went paddleboarding in the morning, and I said, do you want to do a meditation? And we laid on our boards and we put on a meditation, and the boards drifted us into the shore. We kind of crashed into the shore, but then we just laid there as the waves were lapping and we were looking at the clouds. And when you talk about nature just now, it makes me think of when I was a kid, kind of just laying on the ground, looking at the clouds.
Yes, that was my favorite time, and when you would look into the cloud, into the space, you would see patterns. I know I was seeing patterns. It was like energy. You could see it. And I remember holding a sunflower in my hand as a child. And I truly in that moment felt it would turn it into a star. How did I know at that tender age that we are made of the same stuff that stars are made of?
I remember, I think Deepak Chopra was the first one that taught me that. He said, if you take the composition of a rock or a star and you grind it down to its least common denominator, we're all the same. So you have this magical, and anyone listening can say, oh, that's being a kid. We turn broomsticks into horses and, we make believe, make pretend. But what was was looking back, was there a moment that something was a greater influence, that you knew this was the path you were going to take, a defining moment?
So at that age, as a matter of fact, I remember very clearly, I would imagine myself holding a mic. Can you imagine being 4 or 5 years old, holding a mic and speaking in front of audience? I had no idea what I was talking about, but I knew it. So at the soul level, I knew what I was going to do. And it's interesting because fast forward, Dr. Lisa Miller of Columbia University, she has written about the spiritual child. She says that before we get developed, before we get educated, yes, we know this and we're so one with it. And she's created a whole body of research around it and written many bestseller books. So I'm going, okay, that validates it, that I wasn't crazy. It was really there. And then, of course, after that, the labels started to come in, dreamer, stubborn, brilliant, all these labels, which I started to own as, oh, they're coming from adults who know more. Maybe there's some truth to it.
This is going to be, I feel like it's like we're two souls that are walking similar paths and we've never actually met in person. And I feel for my life, as a child, I knew all those things, but I didn't listen. I wasn't wise enough to listen. So I took the path, what I call the unspoken path of society, right? Get a job with benefits, make money, get married, buy a house, blah, blah, blah. The universe kept bringing me full circle. It kept pushing me in that direction. So before this work found you, what did your life look like? Did you go to college? Did you get a regular job? How did you get here?
So all of the above. And just prior to me diving into this, I was a director of sales and marketing, climbing the corporate ladder, feeling like, yes, this is success. And then one night, just one night, I woke up. And I remember I was in California at the time, and I said to myself, you know what? This is not giving me the satisfaction and the expansion that I'm looking for. It is good, but it's all created from this level of urgency and the desire to have something externally that will fulfill me. And there's something missing.
So you had this moment. Was it a dream, just a knowing, or was it something that was building?
It was something built. I was feeling the dissatisfaction internally. However, externally, there was everything, the title, the money, everything that's around me, the network, the clients who loved me, all of that was there. But then inside, I was feeling empty.
Ah, I love it. Eckhart Tolle calls it the dark night of the soul. And whether it's a job or a relationship or a loss, something that I love what you're saying, you from the outside looks perfect, right? You have all these external things, but yet internally there's this missing thing that we keep thinking if we buy another thing, or if we get another promotion or have a baby or get married or whatever we fill it with, it becomes this bottomless pit. And I love, he has a saying, don't waste the suffering. So to everyone listening to this conversation, it's, are you listening to those whispers? And what did you do next? Like, did you wake up and quit your job? Did you start a company? It's a big leap.
Did.
You did?
I woke
I love
up
it.
and quit the job. I started my company, and the name came to me in my dream, Rhythm of Success, which means listening to your rhythm. And the Sanskrit word, which is the closest to rhythm, is rhythm with an H. That means your heart.
I'm
Following your
chills.
heart, which is aligned with your soul and your instincts, and following that alignment. And without knowing anything, I just jumped right in, and I had the beginner's luck. And then everything went flat.
When preparation meets opportunity, they say that's what beginner's luck is. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was interesting. And then little did I know I was going to tap into Goleman's work on emotional intelligence and leadership development, all of that. I didn't have all that idea before. It came after.
And so I just did a podcast. I recorded a solo podcast before this one about how books found me, people found me. Like, I was being led. I didn't even know it. Like, people were handing me Many Lives, Many Masters and The Reconnection and Seth's books and Romp the books. And these are corporate people. And I was like, well, what are these books? How did this path, like Daniel Goleman and the leader, how did that path unravel for you or lead you?
Yeah. The more I was fascinated by emotional intelligence. I go, yes, this is the language I'm looking for. And then after that, I go, no, there's more. There's more. So I got certified in probably over a dozen leadership, assessment tools, talk about everything that's premium out there. And I was addicted to them. I thought maybe my worth will come from yet another certification. Oh, maybe I will be better if I know this more, know that more. Very much external. And inside, I was like losing the sense of self that was there as a child, which I would see from time to time. It would show up, and it would actually show up when I was doing something fun, like when I would be engaged with an audience, when I would be in the team of leaders. It would come to life. It would never let me down. And what I realized was it was never the frameworks that transformed the teams. It was the willingness for all of us to let go of our ego and be willing to be open to tap into that collective consciousness.
You're saying something so important here. And I want to back up a little bit because you said, you had this calling or this soulful feeling, I need to do something different. So you start this business, the name comes to you in a dream, but then yet you start chasing the titles, the certifications. Was there a defining moment when you said, I don't need another certification? Like you're saying, I realize my ego wants the certification, right? The soul says you're enough. The ego says we need more. Was there a moment for you where you said, ooh, I need to do this differently?
Oh gosh, I've had many such little moments and then big moments. Okay, I have this love and hate relationship with certifications. Oh, I need this. And then a client would be asking for something very specific. And I'll say, okay, to serve the greater good, I'm willing to take this, but I know I've tried all these frameworks on me. To me, Michele, they are a map, a snapshot in the moment. They give you more labels. And you know, the analogy that came to me as I was preparing for us today, this morning, was that all these assessments are actually measuring the golden egg that the goose is laying. It's making us focus on the golden egg and making that more important, the strengths and blind spots and weaknesses. But what about the goose who is absolutely alive and it is the living wisdom, the living intelligence. The egg's not as important. The goose is more important.
I want to take a moment to go over all the ways we can connect and work together because there are so many. Definitely social media. You could subscribe to my newsletter by going to energizeyourhappiness.com, clicking on the key performance logo in the upper left-hand corner, which will prompt you to add your email. And when you do that, you will receive for free my 5 super habits that energize your result. You can continue to keep listening to this podcast. And if you hear something that resonates, that helps you, please share it with your friends and family. This podcast is a labor of love and it is fully funded by myself. You can read my books. Happiness is a Habit, Energize Your Happiness. Energize Your Happiness is available in book form and on audible.com. And if you like the books, please rate and review. I do a tremendous amount of one-on-one executive coaching. I pride myself on my one-on-one VIP retreats where it's you and me for 48 hours, focusing on what's important to you and how to add more meaning and fulfillment to your life personally and professionally. We can work together to do one-on-one assessments. I am certified in over 20 different assessments. You take the assessment online, and then one-on-one, we have a Zoom call where you get a personalized debrief session with me. I also have a self-guided online video program based on my first book, Happiness is a Habit. This book has been curated into 18 beautiful videos and an 80-page workbook, which you could do as a self-guided study, or you can hire me to coach you along through it and support you. One of my favorite things to do with burnt out executives is the Energized Leader 90-day reset experience. I do tons of keynote speaking. 1 day, full day and half day workshops, Zoom and virtual workshops. So from podcasts to books, to executive coaching, to workshops, to transformational leadership, all of this work is not about faking it. This work is about emotional mastery, energetic alignment, and courageous leadership, and consciously writing an outcome that you want to live. So you can reach me at energizeyourhappiness.com. All of these things are on my website, or you can email me directly, Michele@energizeyourhappiness.com. Thank you and make it a great day. Oh my gosh, I love this analogy. I'm getting chills. So let's talk about the book. You know, you're following this trajectory, you have these dreams, you have this knowing, and the book is called The Great Remembering: Leading in the Age of AI, a Leadership Fable. And I love that it's a fable. What made you decide to write this as a fable versus a like a how-to leadership book or something?
I wish I could take credit for that. It was my husband.
These are the angels, the earth angels in our life.
Yes. He kept pushing. He goes, you need to write your third book. You need to write your third book. And he kept pushing. He goes, you need to make it a fable. I go, well, what am I going to? I'm not a story writer. He goes, yes, you are. You tell stories. You're always telling stories. What are you talking about? And again, that identity of I am not a story writer.
Yeah.
When it flows, the intelligence flows through you. It can capture immense, like life is flowing and moving through you. So why would you want to put yourself in a box? This is who I am. This is who I'm not, because that's what I teach, don't I?
Yes, there's so much. I mean, I don't even know which way to go now because my brain's going bing, bing, bing. I love what you're saying. So let's break it down. Let's first talk about what is living intelligence, because what I'm hearing you say and what I love is I could think of what to write, or I could let it come through me. And when I'm connected to the earth, to the universe, to whatever spiritual belief you have, the energy of God, the universe comes through me, versus I write the book. Kind of you hear all the great singers go, "Thank you, God, for coming through me." So define living intelligence, because that's the basis of your book.
Yes. So what is alive in me? Personality and labels and titles, those are dead. To me, it is the conditioning. So when you talk about writing outcomes, what is the hand that's writing the outcome? Is it the conditioned hand or a hand that is fully alive in the moment? Is it living or dead? Is it living or conditioned? So that living to me is what I'm connected with, what's emerging in the moment, the future that's emerging that Otto Scharmer talks about, the MIT professor in his Theory U. He explains it so beautifully. And he has quoted Bill O'Brien, this former CEO of Hanover Insurance, who speaks about the intervention. It's the state of the intervener that impacts the intervention.
Oh, yeah. So same. I mean, I don't know if people know about Otto Scharmer or this theory. So I don't know if we want to go down that rabbit hole. We're going to put a pin in that. And if we have time, we'll go down that road. I actually did the inner MBA with Sounds True. It was this long program. Do you know of it?
I did that too, Michele.
And he was one of the speakers, right? Was he one of we probably did it at the same time.
Yeah, I've taken some courses with him. I really am very drawn to him.
Yeah. So I want to go back to your book and talk about, so how did you get this story? So what I love, again, people that aren't watching this or listening, it is the yin and yang symbol on the cover that represents human intelligence and artificial intelligence, correct? And just give us a little, without giving the story away, because everyone needs to go buy this book right now. It'll be in the show notes. You need to buy it. But tell us a little bit about the fable and the story, how it unfolds.
So a little bit about how this concept came to me. So after my husband pushing me, I was in Vancouver seeing my mother who has dementia. And I would go see her for a bit. Then I would be in the hotel room by myself. And I had this idea of a drahugan, half dragon, half human. And this idea kept coming to me, like nudging me. And I was literally dreaming about a drahugan. And it comes from my years of having that pain on why are we cut off? Just because Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. Why are we not accessing our full intelligence? Why do we make the head, God, and everything else okay, it doesn't matter. So the Drahugan is coming together of the head and the heart and the body, the yin and yang, bringing in the force. So the story was more about a leader who's cut off. Very brilliant on the outside. Everything looks good on paper, but she's so disconnected. And it's her journey into trusting the inner dragon and finding her way back with everything that you need to do, using the forces that are alive in us, what we're made up of, stardust, elements, and using those as check-in points versus using assessments and making those snapshots as everything.
Some things, what is the great Einstein quote? Everything that counts can't be measured, or everything, what is the quote? Oh my God.
Everything that counts cannot be counted, and what counts
Can't always be measured.
Yes.
So really good. So that's what I love about this, because, I've dedicated this entire season. I'm calling it the bridge between, business and spirituality. And people go, what are you doing, Michele? And to me, it's our workplaces have become devoid of soul, devoid of spirit, devoid of that living aliveness. You walk into some workplaces and it's like dead air. Everyone's got their earbuds in. No, it's just, if there's even anyone there anymore because of, COVID and different ways we're working now. So how do we now take this in the age of AI, and how do we connect and make the bridge? Because AI isn't going away, technology isn't going away, but I'm a big believer, if humans don't start to be more conscious, we might go away. If we don't do things smarter, we're almost a cancer cell. Like the cancer cell in the body doesn't realize that it's killing its host. And the way we're treating our fellow humans, the way we're treating the earth, the planet, sometimes even the way we're treating ourselves is very unconscious. So in a world where AI is not going away, and leadership and all, organizations, how did you make that connection and that bridge? The Drahugen, am I saying that right?
Yeah, the Drahugen. I made up that word, so it does not exist. And yes, it does. It does in a big way. So how do we do that? There is this beautiful understanding of being on the balcony of yourself in leadership, where we are not in the weeds, but we are watching ourselves from a distance, the observer, the witness. And a lot of this has been taken from traditional wisdom, the ancient wisdom, I should say, but they've made it more mainstream and they've reworded it. So being on the balcony is really being the witness. And when you are the witness, you're not caught up in the weeds. When you are the witness, you're not the title. When you are the witness, you're not the label. You have freedom. So my mantra has always been breaking the chains of ordinary existence. How do I step into the extraordinary? And it's not even how I step. I am the extraordinary. How do I get out of my own way to experience that? So in 2006, when I wrote my first book, Michele, I wrote a poem in that book, and I was actually writing it to my mind. And I still remember the line, "Go on, oh disillusioned images of the world. One day I promise I will catch you holding the projector in your hand." And then 19 years later, last year, I am on the TEDx stage starting my talk with, "Your eyes are lying to you. We are not seeing, we are projecting." So the hand is really the same hand that writes outcomes, but it's writing from the conditioned hand. It's holding the projector and it believes being in the weeds and being that label. I will be nothing without the label. And this is where the pain, the suffering, and relying too much on the outcomes, the golden egg, becomes our addiction.
So that goes in alignment with what I say, write your outcome in the way that I always say we're creating our reality, whether we realize it or not. So we are the projector. We are the one projecting our beliefs and our thoughts onto reality. So we could, if you have brothers and sisters or people in your same house, I always say you could tell a story and both people tell the story totally different, because we are projecting our own beliefs and images. And to me, I love the great remembering. You talk about, it's the remembering, is that we have this wisdom, and that's, I always say there's a reason they call it ancient wisdom, people, because it's been around for centuries. But we've been, like you're saying, so conditioned to live from the neck up that we're not fully connected. And most of us haven't realized it. So now, if I go back to the way society's going right now and this division, unconsciousness, I think there's a lot of people that are very uncomfortable, whether they're in, like you said, everything might look good on the outside and they're uncomfortable, or things might not look good on the outside and they're uncomfortable. And this morning I was kind of writing in my journal, Neerja, just because people are uncomfortable doesn't mean they'll remember, doesn't mean they'll awaken. So what is, how can this book, how can your teaching help people start to tap into that ancient wisdom that's within them?
Yeah. I always start with a very simple question, but it's a deep question that I sit with. That what in me, like what in this moment, pardon me, what in this moment is asking me to see that I'm not willing to see, or asking me to hear that I'm not willing to hear. And then I stay with it and stay with it. And for me, Michele, the loudest voice that hides what I'm not hearing is I have too much. If you were to look at the elements, I'm more water, more emotions, right? And they're the loudest. And I don't have boundaries. I can flow into things, right? So to me, if that's loudest, the grounding is what's suffering. So what I'm not hearing is earth. How can I get grounded in that? And when I get grounded, I can really listen. When I'm listening to, the body's not lying. So back to the dragon is the body, and we are connecting it to the mind. So our thinking can be so much more fine-tuned, where we are sensing the future. We can't rely on what has been. So we are sensing the future by purely bringing the intelligence fully alive into every ounce of our being. Whether I use elements as a check-in, what am I sensing right now? What am I feeling right now? Is my thinking going too much? Is there too much analysis paralysis going on? The minute I start to witness myself from above and not be caught up in the weeds, what happens is I gain clarity in that moment. And when that clarity arrives, I get great ideas. The term Drahugan comes to me. The story comes through me, right? Because it cannot come to me when I'm too emotional and I have these limitations on what I can do and cannot do. My strength, according to any assessment, is not story writing.
No. And so, oh my gosh, there's so much to unpack here. I don't know, where do I start first? It's, what is the loudest voice keeping you from being aligned? And, for me, my listeners know I've named my ego Wanda, and she's a bitch. And she's this loud ego voice in my head that's always telling me you're not good enough, you're not better, whatever. She's like just railing at me. And and I don't know what element, that's probably fire. I don't know what element that is.
That is fire.
That fire. And I have to like calm her down and say, I know you're trying to protect me, but I'm okay. And then I call on Grace, who's my spiritual side. And I say, Grace, what do you think? She's my voice of wisdom. So I love what you're doing. You're doing similar things. And I love how in the back of your book, you have these keys. I guess I would call them keys to the wording, for your book, the framework. The field of, you use the acronym GROUND and the ground framework. And, I'm just going to skip its gravity, but resonance and openness are the things I wanted us to touch on. I love the word resonance so much. And your definition, resonance in practice, is feeling the field, not just thinking the data and sensing what's beneath the words. Can you talk more to that?
Yeah. So when I'm trying to simplify the language without, if for someone who hasn't read the book, trying to simplify the language. I am the field. My resonance comes from being the field. That's conscious awareness. And when I'm tapping into the field versus my past experience, I'm in expansion versus contracted. I'm
Yes, and
not in my
control.
head,
Yeah.
right? And when I'm in the field, so talk about being nervous before going on the TEDx stage. But when I was on there, I am tapping into being the field, not an identity of who Neerja is.
And they're two different things. And for anyone listening, this is resonating so deeply with me, and it might be resonating. It depends where everybody is on their journey, if it resonates or doesn't resonate. But if anything in this is tipping off something, you go, ooh, her book is, even though some of these things might sound a little not reachable or out there, the book is so simply written and articulate. And the fable I love, it's a story of this leader, Tara, right? Is that her name? And she's going through all these dragons and the ego and these different things and what she has to do to get back to her heart. So while some of the terms we're talking about might not be landing, the book is very easily understood, articulated. In the back, she gives you all these on these references and concept translation and what it means. So I think, and it's not long. That's another thing. It's something that you can read and digest and then put into practice. So again, The Great Remembering, Leading in the Age of AI, a Leadership Fable by Neerja Bhatia. And let's go, we've kind of skipped around AI. Where does AI come into all of this?
Yeah. So artificial intelligence is something that is doing the things what we were educated for much faster. It can process things faster, think faster, bring, all these frameworks much faster. Everything is happening at the speed of light with AI. So imagine here we are doubting our ability because we were trained to really do this. It's a beautiful
She's pointing to her
invitation.
head. We were trained to think.
Yes, we were trained to think and think hard and get it right. But this is such a beautiful invitation for us to tap into the beauty of listening to our sensations, listening to our heart, listening to our soul, listening, being the field. And I want to say something that everyone in this world, even though they're using their head overly because of our training, they have experienced being the field. When they're in the zone, when they're in the flow, we've all felt it because it's not only for a handful of us, right? It is who everyone is. They are the vast field of consciousness, but they have grown to believe in something. That's the conditioning. So that's what it is. It's like, yeah, you want to tap into that more and more. So AI is actually inviting us, encouraging us. It's such a
Oh,
blessing in
I love
disguise.
this. Yes. Oh my gosh, this is so good. I just got like this big light bulb in my brain. All these people that are afraid of it, it's going to do the things we were trained to do so we could do other things.
We
So
can be
we
us.
can evolve. And in my book, I call it your personal energy alignment. And it's the same thing. The field, the alignment is, I equate it to the runner's high, like you said, the zone. I love like being on a dance floor when you're just swimming in your own emotions and it doesn't even matter. You're just in this moment. And I want people to know what that feels like. So when you know what it feels like to be in the field in your personal energy alignment, you know when you're disconnected. And now let's make the bridge to leadership. What distinguishes conscious leadership from unconscious leadership?
So with unconscious leadership, it's more about control. It's more about power. And the power and control comes from something external. Again, it's the golden egg. It's always the bottom line. It's the whole entire focus is the bottom line, focused on the eggs, golden eggs. But they're not focusing on the beautiful people who are together. And if we can help them tap into the collective field, right? this intelligent field that we can really tap into. And that's when we feel safe, when we feel valued, we actually are totally drawn to it. The leaders who can do it for themselves and invite others to do it, they'll be blown away by what gets produced because it's beyond the bottom line. Why do you want to focus on the eggs alone, the golden eggs, when there's so much more that can be created and generated?
This is resonating so deeply, and coming to my mind is like, we call it team spirit. Everybody can wrap their head around that. Why do we call it team spirit? What is that? It's something you can't, put your hands around, but you know it when you have it. So given, the world we're living in, and what's going on, do you have confidence that we're moving in the right direction?
I am very, very confident. I think there's more and more people understanding this language, getting into it. And all we have to do is if all of us took the accountability and responsibility to just evolve, just witness and question, challenge our old thinking, we are healing not just ourselves, we're healing every conditioned wound that's been created.
So good. I'm with you. I can't help but have I call it the optimistic spin on everything. And that, we are alive at this time in history because the world needs the gifts we have to give. And if anyone listening is feeling uncomfortable in something that's going on in the world, in their lives, in their communities, I love what you just said. You just gave a really good nugget. It's just about challenging your thinking. Is this thinking getting me forward where I need to be, or is it keeping me stuck in old ways of thinking? And I think, I wish my journal was around because I was journaling this morning about, so many people are uncomfortable and we have anxiety on the rise and depression on the rise and burnout on the rise. And I think when people get uncomfortable and you tell me what you think, I feel like we grasp on what we know. We want it to go back to the good old days. We hold on so tightly. We want things to go back, but we can't go back. We have to go forward. And all this wet cement, I always say everything behind you is dry cement, right? You can't change it, but there's this wet cement in front of you that we can affect. So if every person listening could take one thing away from your message today, what would that one thing be?
Oh, that would be that you are not your thought. The thought that's making you look back and, hold on to something. It's just the thought. It's just the thinking. We're just creating being in the weeds. We're just creating gripping so tight because the fear of unknown, that too is a thought. So what if you're not
I love
your
that.
thought?
That too is a thought. Yes.
It is.
This is so good. And oh my gosh. And I love what you said earlier. Like some people say, just evolve. And I get it. And I'm evolving. I always say I'm expanding. I love it. And my brain, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. But I remember, this is a crazy remembering, but there was an Oprah episode years ago with this anorexic woman. And she was like 90 pounds. And Oprah was like, it's just eat. Like, what's so hard about this? Like, if you want to live, you have to eat. And she sat there in her little voice and she said, I don't know how. And I thought, so I think what I'm hearing you say, because it's so easy for us to say, oh, just evolve, right? Or, wake up, but what are some steps you would encourage people who maybe are just starting out on this path? What are some things they could do just to open up, to challenge their beliefs and see things differently?
Start to challenge absolutisms. So the absolutisms on who you think you are, that is like, it's not written on stone. And what you're going through, everything changes, everything shifts. What is the impact you're going to make? So if you're not able to make the change, start to really look at yourself, not as an identity, but more as a makeup of elements. I love this makeup of elements.
Can you talk to that from the top of your head? Because
yes,
she put this beautiful post on, I don't know, something on social media, and I just loved it. So let's go there.
Yeah. So I am actually using that with my coaching clients and they're having breakthroughs with it, which is amazing. And I'm going, yes, finally something's working. So it's a more of a moment to moment practice. So when you feel stuck, you check in with yourself. So it's water, it's emotion. What am I feeling? Am I feeling stuck? Or am I feeling is it over flooded? Like, what's going on with my feeling right now? Or am I numb that I can't even feel? Okay. So that's the water. The earth is more about, am I grounded? Am I floating? And then the counterfeit or imposter of that is I'm bracing. I'm holding myself up and think I'm grounded, but I'm not.
I'm in like stress, right? I'm bracing, right? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah. Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's earth. We said water. Now with air, it is more like, am I too much in my head? Overthinking? Or what's really going on with is it creating a spinning? What's going on with me right now? Am I spinning myself into a story? Am I buying into a story that I'm telling myself? Or am I believing in a lie from the thought? And then we come to fire. So what's going on with the fire? Am I feeling like I'm motivated because I'm driven? There's conviction, or is that dead in me right now? There's boredom. Nothing's moving.
Candle power, I call it.
Yeah. So you're going through these elements, and then of course all assessments only cover for water, fire. I mean, every assessment that you can think of that's out there, it is created from these 4 elements, and they skipped the 5th, which is space.
Oh gosh, this could be a whole other episode.
And from the space is where you witness the feeling, the sensing, what your body's saying, which is earth, right? And then from your thinking, you're actually witnessing your thinking, your feeling, your sensing, your fire, your inner drive. And then from that witnessing, as you keep looking in that stillness, you will start to notice what's the highest point, what's the lowest, what are you not hearing? Are you not hearing your body tell you, I'm tired of holding my shoulders up. I want to just relax my nervous system. And when you relax, the answer to your problem comes right to you.
That question is so powerful. What was it? What am I not listening?
What am I not listening to right now?
And the balance. And years ago, I think it was Wayne Dyer who talked about space. He was Getting in the Gap was one of his books I read years ago. And the way he described it, I love that you said that's the missing one, because he said if all the musical notes were on top of each other, you wouldn't hear the music.
Exactly.
But it's the space, between the notes that allows the music. It's us giving us space, going to the balcony, as you say, observing ourselves, and then course correcting. And it's not, you're never always on course. And when I first kind of learned how to tap into this magic, it's a magical place when you're just aligned. It's a high, and I just wanted to be there all the time. And I got a little disappointed when I realized it doesn't last. It doesn't last, but I think that's the beauty in this great remembering is you always can reconnect.
Because that's who you are.
Yeah. When
That's
you notice,
the great, yeah.
I call it the rumble strips. Like you hit the rumble strips on the road, it's like, okay, get back on course. So I love that you use the elements. I love the balance. Oh my gosh, this is just so amazing. Let me see if there's any questions I forgot. This one last question I wrote here. To so many people are feeling overwhelmed by politics, social media, consumerism, now AI. I think we maybe answered this. Do you think all of this discomfort is actually serving a purpose? And I think the answer we came to was yes.
Yes. I mean, you have to go to the extreme to come back. It's like, the oscillation, and it comes back to the center. The only thing we have control over is our own thinking of what we're seeing, and our eyes are lying to you anyways. So whatever you see, you're going to see it from your conditioned mind.
So I love what you said, and I want to kind of wrap this up on that high note of that everything that's happening is happening for our good, for our growth, for our evolution. And it's a matter of taking what's happening and creating something that's, coming back to ourselves so we can create humans in the workplace and spirit in the workplace and just in our homes, in our lives, and not be so distracted. So again, the book is The Great Remembering, Leading in the Age of AI. I'm putting it up for those of you on YouTube. Everybody else is, I need you to go, where can they buy this book? Where can they find you? Give us all your information.
Sure. It's on Amazon. And you can also go to my website, neerjabhatia.com. And there is this essay, the whole essay on the eyes lying to you, and then the whole technique to work with the elements. It's all there. Yeah.
This is so fun. I mean, it's so, I say fun, but to me, evolving is fun. So this deep wisdom, the way you have, this is a time in our history where we need this message so bad. I always say ego is raging in our world, and all these leaders, like you say, leading for external purposes versus internal gifts. So please, I want you to buy this book. It's imperative that we do something because we're in trouble if we don't. And that's why I believe this is a huge calling for all of us. So her book is easy to digest. I want you to go to Amazon right now if you're not driving and get it. I want you to go to LinkedIn and link in with her. And she is just an amazing resource. And if you start following her on LinkedIn, you're just going to fall in love with her like I did. And then you'll buy the book anyway because it's so wonderful. So Neerja, thank you for being here on Write Your Outcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for jumping in to help me out, even endorse the book. And thank you for everything, Michele.
Yeah,
Loved being here with you.
I feel we had an appointment. We were meant to meet. This was divine circumstances that brought us together. And it just gives me such joy to have you and have this conversation on the show. Again, this just fits into everything I'm trying to get through to everybody this year. So in this season of Write Your Outcome. So thank you, my dear, sweet, fabulous, wise soul. Thank you all of you for listening. That's this week's episode of Write Your Outcome. If you heard something that resonates, you like, rate, review, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you. If you liked what you heard and you want to go deeper and you are part of this new earth and this new awakening that is happening on the planet, please go right now to wherever you are listening to this podcast and subscribe. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. Please rate and review to give it a bigger boost, and that will bring more people to the podcast. And stay tuned for more engaging conversations on Write Your Outcome, where this season we are walking the edge between business and spirituality.